Meg, we rarely these days get to see a movie together in the theater, and we got to see In a Violent Nature together. I'm excited to talk to you about it.
Yes, we watched it together and then we zipped up our lips and didn't say anything to each
I think
other.
that's the hardest part is that we are saving it for the podcast. We have a
Yes.
rewind today. I have two fast forwards for you
Ooh,
because they're
two.
similar and more surprises.
All right.
Welcome to Horror Rewind. I'm Kelly Florence.
And I'm Meg Hofdahl, and we are two ghoulish chicks who love horror flicks.
After discovering our shared love of horror, we became lifelong best friends.
We love creating and discussing female-driven horror while also hexing the patriarchy.
But we also love a down and dirty slasher too.
We are mothers, co-authors, screenplay writers, and we don't mind a little trashy TV.
So welcome to Horror Rewind.
Join us and let's begin.
Meg, we saw In Violent Nature together, and I purposely, I had seen a preview, but I purposely, again, didn't read anything about this movie ahead of time because I like to go in cold.
I know. Well, I had heard a lot of hype because everyone was kind of freaking out because it's like, wow, it's from the killer's perspective. And also, Luke kept freaking out because anytime there's talk about a horror movie and it's like special in a
Yeah.
certain way, he gets really excited. As you know, he's very scared of horror movies. And I think he's getting worse in his old age.
Oh, my favorite story, and I've told it a million times, but we went to see The Descent together in the theater, and there, when you see the creature behind one of the spelunkers,
Yeah.
was
Yeah, I think
spelunking?
it's spelunking, yeah.
He leapt like 6 feet in the air. So
Yeah. And he's always like the Saw movies, which is very weird because
yeah.
he doesn't like gore, which is like bizarre. So then we went and saw the latest Saw movie and he just held his hands over his face the whole
I
time.
don't get
I
it.
don't get it
Also,
either.
he's a doctor, so, he deals with, real
I
things,
know,
but he
and
can't handle
I'm always like, you have to like touch people's feet for real, and you can't handle like a fake horror movie.
Yeah.
It's very weird to me. Like
Mm.
anyway. But anyway, he was like, "Oh, have you heard of this movie?" Like he's very intrigued by it. He gets very excited and then reads like 50 articles about it and
Ah,
sends them to me. But I avoid reading the articles cuz I want to just make my own
right.
mind up about it. So, but it's kind of interesting because there have been a lot of killer POV
Yeah.
horror movies. So it's not like this is the newest
No.
thing ever. But I did enjoy that aspect of this
Yeah.
movie.
My favorite thing about this movie, if you can guess, was the long takes
Oh, of
and the lack
course.
of and then the use of sound, because it's
Oh, wow,
just
yeah.
following this man, if we can call him a man, through the woods and just hearing those footsteps and just that it's slow, drawn out. It's you don't know what's going to happen, and that was very enjoyable for me because we're so used to, especially on TikTok, it's like this is boring scroll. It
Yeah.
made us sit there and wait, and I really appreciated that.
That's a really good point. And I think that too, it was taking its time with the beautiful scenery.
Yeah.
It was shot in Ontario, I think. And it was gorgeous, and I feel like the juxtaposition of that and then the gore, because this movie is
Oh my
gory.
gosh. Hence, Meg is wearing her gore horror hat
I am wearing
today.
my gore horror hat today because I love gore, and the sort of juxtaposition was wonderful because there was just some beautiful shots,
Yeah.
beautiful cinematography in this
Which is,
movie.
yeah, ironically,
Yeah.
as you see somebody's head get
Right.
chopped off.
Yeah. So I really appreciated that. And you're right. It took its time, which I think is not always something we get nowadays, especially in a slasher of all
Oh, yeah.
things. So the filmmaker Chris Nash, he wrote and directed it. This is his first big feature. And he has a really big background in special effects. I felt like, I don't know about you, but when the slasher dude was walking around, I often felt like it was almost like when you're in a video game
Yeah, yeah.
and he You know when
Like a
you're
first-person shooter
Yeah,
game.
first person shooter almost, but, like, you know when you get lost in a video game and you're, like,
Yeah.
in the woods and
And,
you
like,
don't
you're just walking into a
Yeah,
tree.
you're like, I know I'm supposed to be doing something
Yeah.
right now, like, I know I need to find, like, the chest or
Yeah.
something, but I don't and there's a lot of sort of, moments like that where it felt in that he has no sort of purpose, although he has this one singular purpose that it starts out with where his locket of his mama has
Yeah.
been stolen, which I thought was interesting that we were going with that trope because that's a very well-worn trope in,
Yes.
um, slashers where it has to do with mama, which I
Yeah.
feel like goes back to we've done a lot of research in our books about sort of the genesis of the slasher and Ed Gein and how Ed Gein loved his mother a little too much.
They want to return to the womb.
They want to return to the room. It goes back to Freud and like,
Yeah.
all men want to sleep with their mother or something and love their moms a little too much. And so he has this locket of his mother. And so there's a paranormal aspect, which I
Right.
thought was cool because that's another trope in slashers where there is that line that's crossed where he actually comes back from the dead and so you can't kill him. And so I thought it was kind of fun how we were playing with
Yeah.
tropes. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
was gonna say I love the organic nature of his garb that he got because we didn't
Oh,
see
yeah.
his face, until he got his mask. And it
Yes.
wasn't just like, "There's a hockey mask in my trunk," which is fine, I love
Yeah,
Jason,
yeah, yeah.
but it was like, "Oh, this fire station, and this is, how I'm gonna
Yes.
wear it," and I thought that was
Yes.
so cool because
Yes.
I love when it's organic and it's not
Yeah.
forced.
Yeah, yeah, it did feel I also really loved watching this in a theater because, there was that again, you used the word organic, there was that really organic feeling of people laughing
Yeah.
when I mean, there was funny moments, like, when he used the body to, he threw the body against the glass to
Yeah.
get his weapon and his mask, but also that laugh that everyone does when there's a really extreme kill.
Yeah, a shock, and
Y
then you can't do anything but laugh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I love that community feeling.
No, of course.
It's something that you just can't get when you're on your couch,
No, I agree, I love it. I love the movie
Yeah.
theater experience so much.
Yes.
I think one of the best movie theater experiences we ever had was when we saw The Invisible Man in
Oh
Atlanta.
my gosh, yes.
That crowd was screaming,
Oh
and,
my
like, I was
gosh.
just laughing with joy. Like, I loved it so much
Yes,
because
yes,
feeling people get scared, and then like,
yes,
keep talking.
yes.
Also, when I saw The Visit in the theater and that jump scare,
Yes.
people lost their minds.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's horror, I think is like horror and comedy are like a really good comedy.
yeah.
Those are the best movies to see in the
I
theater.
know.
I love it. And when you just have a really good crowd and I think we had a pretty good crowd
We
when we
did,
saw
yeah.
that. Um so we have the POV of him. And like I said, I wrote down a few ones like Fade to Black is another killer POV that I like. Uh Behind the Mask, the Leslie Vernon story is a good one. I felt though like this was a pretty interesting one because he doesn't talk. Um, he's very much like a Leatherface type
Yeah,
killer. So we're really getting him sort of listening for clues. He has that, like I said, he's walking around almost like in a video game sort of feeling where he's kind of one with nature, which I
yeah,
thought was kind of interesting, and the name of the film is In a Violent Nature, which I thought was interesting because he's almost one with the woods and they are the interlopers.
right,
And I felt like it's kind of interesting because when we watch any sort of slasher, and we're usually watching, the annoying campers, we are kind of often, especially as the sequels go on, we are on the side of the monster.
right.
Because they become the icon, right?
Yeah,
Um, and the campers are always so annoying.
yeah, they are, and I think, Chris Nash wrote dialogue that was obnoxious
Oh, I hope
purposely.
so.
Yeah, we hope he wrote it
I
purposely.
don't know, but I hope so.
Because I was just like, "Oh, wow, dialogue is hard," and it's like, "Okay, ma
Yeah,
this I hope this is for a purpose
I hope so
to
too.
prove that they were plebes." I don't know.
I mean, if that dialogue was earnest, like, I'm scared. 'Cause the 2 women having that conversation, before and I apologize, I can't remember
That's okay.
the killer's name.
I don't remember either.
Yeah. Um, before he drowns the one woman, that conversation was, like, the most cringe-tastic
I
conversation
know.
about, like, them they were trying to flirt, I guess, but, like, I would gouge my eyes out if, like, that was happening in front of me. It was so bad. Um,
Maybe, that's why he killed them, right?
I mean, please, I think we were all begging. We were all begging for him to do it. So, I hope that was done tongue in cheek. I don't know this
Yeah.
filmmaker enough to know, but I think it was. So the yoga kill, it was funny because before we went and saw the film, I had just looked up, like, where it was playing or something, and I wrote in a violent nature on, Google or whatever, and it said "yoga kill" after I wrote it in, and so I was waiting for
Oh,
so when she was gonna go do yoga, I'm like, "Oh, this'll be good."
that was so ridiculous. Also beautifully shot. It reminded me of a mine pit up on the Iron Range,
Oh,
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
edge of a mine pit, and so ridiculous.
Oh my gosh, it was the goriest, most people were
Yeah,
laughing
yeah,
and just kinda getting the tension out because it was so gory and lovely
yeah,
and well done.
yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
not surprised that this filmmaker has some special effects
No, that
background.
totally makes sense.
Yeah, I really I love that. I thought that oh, I know what I wanted to tell you. You got up and went to the bathroom and you missed something.
Tell
And
me.
so I think you would love it because I know you have a special place in your heart for monsters and for, like, the tender part of them, and
Yeah.
you kinda missed a tender
Aw.
moment.
What happened?
So, when one of the annoying campers that we don't care, and we wanna watch them all die, right? He threw his keys for whatever reason, and there was a little red car, like, play car attached to it,
Aw.
and the bad guy sees this red car and he's so excited and he sits down and he starts playing with the
It's like
car.
Frankenstein's
It
monster.
is, and it just like I just know you so well.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have his mask on. So you get a really good view of his face and he's just playing with the little car and it's
Oh.
just this again it's just that juxtaposition and it's just that crazy sort of showing his sort of strange innocence in a
Yeah,
way.
and it's so absurd.
It's so absurd, and he's just, like, vrooming with the car,
Oh.
and then, he hears them again, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, back to what I was doing before."
Okay, that's hilarious.
So, if you get the chance to watch it
No, I
again,
will.
you'll have to see that part.
The other thing I really appreciated about the direction and writing is the extreme wide shots,
Mm,
as well as the long takes, but
yeah.
we're seeing this house or cabin with the 2 dudes in close to the beginning, and we're seeing all this action play out, but we're not close enough yet to really it's not like extreme close-ups,
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
we're witnessing it with him
Right, I was
from
gonna
far
say it's
away.
like what he would be
Yeah,
seeing.
and so
Yeah.
I appreciate that it's not like, "Now we're gonna cut into the interior and hear this dialogue." It was like, we're with him all the time.
Oh,
I like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah. So it was yeah, it was really I think it knew its tone. Like I said, sometimes with the dialogue, I wasn't sure if it was poorly written dialogue or if it
It was
was
purposely yeah, I
yeah,
know.
yeah, that was a little iffy
I
for
guess we'll have
me.
to see, his next film, what he does and
Yeah,
how
I
it
guess
is.
so. I guess so. Um something that kind of fell flat for me well, okay, I'm gonna say that first, and then I'll go back to another kill. But something that fell flat for me, and I'm curious what you think about it, is the I I was feeling so much tension. It was wonderfully done, first of all, when our final girl, so to speak, gets in the car. I was feeling that tension of
Yeah,
again of like Leatherface of
Is it gonna
Texas
be
Chainsaw
yeah, come out
Massacre.
with the
Yeah.
chainsaw.
But when the woman in the car starts to have that sort of metaphor of animals,
Yeah.
it went on so
I felt like it was a
long.
20-minute monologue.
Yeah,
Didn't it feel like
it
20
did.
minutes?
It felt like a 20-minute monologue, and
And
then
I kept waiting, like, for something to come through,
I
like, the
know.
windshield and kill her. I'm like, "Kill her."
I know. It never paid off,
No.
which I understand as a choice. And we felt the tension, which I understand is good. It's good to have that tension. There's something weird about not having any sort of payoff.
I
And
know.
also I found the metaphor kind of clunky
Yeah.
and sort of like telling us rather than showing
No, I
us.
agree. It's kind of like I know you said this in a book that you read, in a previous episode, how the author explained in an essay. It's kind of like this writer was explaining in his
Mm,
essay to the audience.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
you don't need to do that, dude.
Yeah, I found that a little clunky, and I understood the point, but I think that's what we're supposed to
Yeah,
do as the
exactly.
audience.
Yeah,
So I think that could have been trimmed way down,
for sure.
and we could have, like, it was really great how they got out of the car at one point and she was going to put, well, I think that's at the very end.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, "No, I'm going to help you with your foot." And you're like, "Oh my god, he's going to come out
Yeah.
and, do something."
Or you're not sure if you trust her.
Yeah, you're not sure if
Like
you
maybe
trust
she's
her. It's like,
working with maybe she's mama. Like who
yeah,
knows?
yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, there was great tension building, but then
Then that
y
was it.
that was it. And again, maybe that's cool that there was the tension doesn't pay off, but I think the metaphor really was hitting us over the head.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like he perhaps underestimated his audience. So that,
Well, that's true. Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like we can
We can figure it out.
we can figure out what's being, yeah.
I did say one thing to you. Well, I said
Mhm.
2 things to you after. I said, "You
Yeah.
have to wear your gore whore hat when we record this episode." And
Yes.
then I also said, "Can we please write a female slasher?"
Yes.
Because what's up with all these dudes and their mothers? Like, we need a female slasher
Yes.
who is badass, who is not
Yes.
motivated by
Rape
yeah,
revenge.
no, definitely not.
Yeah, it feels like often female slashers, that's the thing.
You know,
So,
I just listened to, an interview that Jodie Foster did with, I think, Hollywood Reporter.
mhm.
She said that she got, like, 10 scripts, and every single one of them, the character that she was supposed to play was motivated by rape, and it's like
Yeah, I
she's like, "You
mean,
know what? Women are complicated,
yeah,
and we can be
we can have other
we don't have to be" yeah, we can
motivations.
have other motivations, and we don't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I think that I would love to see a woman slasher who's obsessed with her dad. No, I'm just kidding. Her dad's locket was
Yeah.
stolen. And everything has to go back to Freud. No, I think that there, and this whole metaphor he was saying was very like basic and animalistic and everything, and I get that, but yeah, I feel like a female slasher could be so much more complicated. And maybe that's why females aren't slashers, cuz we would do it so much better and it would be so much more like Machiavellian, and we're not going around doing it in such a like animalistic way, and we
This is
wouldn't
what
be,
this is our goal, though, we're gonna do
okay,
this.
we are.
So
Yeah, we have to figure out why a woman would be going around slashing, like, in such a, like, going around a camp or something, because we wanna, like, stick with some of the
right.
tropes,
But then we
but
also wanna turn them on their head.
we also need to turn them on their head, and she has to be smarter about it. So,
You know, it reminds me I was a programmer for the Minnesota Film Festival, and that, slasher it's a horror comedy
oh,
with
yes, that was so funny with
these
the
yeah,
2, guys who are friends who are
yeah,
slashers.
and so then they basically, like, went through therapy with this psych major, and it was hilarious.
Because they are both slashers and they ended up accidentally going to the same camp on the same night
Yeah,
because they messed up their
yeah,
schedules.
it was brilliant. I will, make sure to put it in the notes.
Please do, because it's a really funny short
It's
film.
hilarious.
And then the final girl,
Yeah.
like, basically, like, talks to them about their feelings
Yeah,
and
it's
stuff.
hilarious.
It's really cute. Yes. So yeah. Oh, the only other kill I wanted to talk about was when he breaks the dude's spine and then
Oh
he
god.
brings them into the log splitter.
Yeah.
Talk about taking your time.
Yeah.
That kill went on
Oh yeah.
forever, and I was gleeful, but then as it went on, I'm like, "This is so dark."
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is," and all I kept thinking is my poor Luke could not
No.
handle this.
No.
He had to get up during the last Saw movie and, like, leave. And I'm like, "Oh, he couldn't
No.
handle it." And he wants to see it because he's like, it's from the killer's POV."
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, "Honey, I don't think," I told him, I said, I don't think you can make it through." But somehow he looks up people's butts for his job. So, you know what? We all just have different things we can
Yeah.
handle.
Who knows? Well, and speaking of feet, you mentioned
Mm,
feet earlier.
yeah.
My thing that grosses me out the most is that show My Feet Are Killing Me,
Oh,
where
yeah,
like those
on
people have
TLC.
extreme things going on, but like
Yes.
that to me is that's true body
Oh, I
horror.
know. Well, that's what I'm saying is like he is a doctor and he, like, touches people's feet, and, like, to me, that's, like, very upsetting.
Yeah. I'd rather
And
see a
like, I
fictional.
would rather see something I know is fake, but not him. But anyway, I do wanna say that, I read that this was a Shudder,
Yes.
film, and it said that it will be on Shudder as early as June 28th.
Holy cow. Okay, yeah. That's
So,
great. I feel
yeah.
like everything streams so quickly now.
I know, it's
Like we can rent
crazy.
movies that are in the theater or were in the theater, which is helpful, but I do love a movie theater experience.
This was a fun movie theater
Yeah.
experience, especially because the kills were so dramatic. The rock falling on the guy's
Oh my
head.
god.
There was some really fun, like, shock, kills.
I think we need to rank this on the scale of Mama Lockets because, it
Okay.
was his whole motivation.
Yes.
So how many Lockets, 0 being you hated it, 10 being you think it's a perfect movie, how many Mama Lockets do you give In a Violent Nature?
I'm gonna give it 8. I thought, I love the kills. I thought that they did a fun job with the tropes. I thought that I really do like that it took its time, and had there was some actually really funny moments. It didn't take itself too seriously. I thought the ending was a little heavy-handed and a little clunky. So I'll give it an 8.
I'm gonna give it 7 Lockets and a little red car because you told me about that, and that's
Yeah, you'll like
adorable.
that. You'll like that.
I especially, as I mentioned, loved the long takes
Uh-huh.
and the extreme wide shots. Like, I just
Yeah.
thought that was brilliant, and it felt like you had to search the screen because you weren't sure, where is
Mhm.
he, what's happening, who's gonna pop out of where, and I
Yeah.
like that tension.
Yeah.
Let's rewind, Meg. What
Oh
did
my
you watch for
goodness.
your rewind?
Okay, I gotta find it in my notes. I'm very unorganized where it's like I didn't put it in order. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I watched a movie that I've never seen before. And I decided to go with the theme of killer POVs. So I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't think you're gonna like this movie. But at the same time, it's like a maybe you've seen it, but it is like a movie that many people like, and it's sort of, I don't know if it's a classic, but it's like a important horror movie. I'm gonna take a sip
Okay,
now because that
now
was very dramatic of me.
now no, you're not you're building tension, just
Mhm,
like
mhm.
Chris Nash, was that his name?
Yeah.
This is how quickly I forget.
Mhm.
I it Give me a year, I'm gonna try to guess.
1986.
Mm,
Killer POV.
um, I was gonna say, and it's not, but because I love this movie and we watched it together, Blood Rage.
No.
The Thanksgiving
No, that
That's
is a great
such a
movie,
good movie.
though.
Anyway, no, what
No.
was it? What is it?
Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Oh,
Have you seen that?
Guess what, Meg? We wrote about it in our serial killer
Oh,
book, so I
yeah.
have seen it.
You have seen it. Oh, that's right, you have seen it. Okay.
No, I love this. This is like we do this all the time because we've written 8 books now. It's like,
I
"Oh,
didn't
yeah."
watch it.
No, I know, that's
You
okay
you
because
wrote about
we
it.
took half we each wrote
Yeah,
half of the
yeah.
book, and I hated it
Yeah, I
because I
figured. I figured.
that was the hardest book to write, the serial killer book,
Yeah,
because these are real people and
yeah,
real victims, and what a douche. Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah. Okay. So, yes. So, I was watching it and I was like, "Kelly would hate this movie."
I I had to buy it on DVD because it
Oh,
wasn't streaming at the
Kelly.
time, so I own a copy.
Oh, well, guess what, everybody? You can watch it for free on Tubi.
Oh!
No, I think a lot of people would like it. But yeah, no, I watched the first minute and I was like, "I don't think I can do this." But then I changed my attitude.
Who's the actor? It's
Michael
somebody.
Rooker.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, this was Michael Rooker's first film, and, he wanted to be a serious actor, and he was like, "I wanna do something challenging." And he, after this, had several challenging roles, like, very dramatic roles, but he only really found success in action movies. So we know him from like Walking Dead, and now he's been in Guardians of the Galaxy and things like that. Um, so right away, it's like male gaze, very sexualized murder because this is serial killing, right? And that is, again, there's a reason that you know, in a violent nature and the tropes that we have in slashers are the way they are, right? And it's 84% fresh, by the way, on Rotten
What?
Tomatoes. Well, here's the thing, like I feel like it's kind of a natural genesis from like when you think of Norman Bates like looking through the whole, well, he's, yeah. Norman Bates like looking at her, Marion Crane. I feel like this is like when we under like when cinema is like trying to understand what serial killers are.
Yeah.
Like I feel like this is like a natural genesis. It's very upsetting and like not fun and I don't like it,
Oh, I know.
but I feel like it's someone described it as unflinching and that is what it is. It it's like it's one of those movies where it's like, "Well, that was unpleasant, and I don't wanna do that again." Eh
Yeah, there's some horror movies that are scary for a different reason, and you'd
Yeah,
never wanna see them again.
right, and it's like, no, I totally get it, like, I was watching it and I was like, "Oh, yeah." Like, Kelly, no, like, okay, so it's based on, loosely based on Otis Toole, and it is pronounced that way. Otis Toole and Henry Lee Lucas, who were a bunch of jerks.
There was a really good docuseries about them.
Yes, yeah,
I mean,
and
good as in
yeah,
interesting.
again, it's like, you know, when you watch, like, a true crime doc and you're like, "Ew," but it's also fascinating? This film is like that, but almost worse because it's fictionalized, but it's so in your face.
No
There's
subtlety.
there's no, what's that guy, Keith, uh, what's the guy on Dateline? Keith Morrison. Like, there's no Keith Morrison to, like, be wry and, like, make you feel better. Like, it's just in your face, and it's raw and real, and you're like, "Ew," you know?
Yeah.
And it's so it just makes you feel icky. Um, and so there are people who are gonna watch this and be able to, like, be like, "Wow, these performances are amazing." And this is the reality of what serial killing was like. And this is now Otis Toole and Henry Lee Lucas made up a bunch of stuff. Like they didn't kill as many people as they said they did. And yeah, there is a really interesting doc about that. Um so and Michael Rooker is quite good. I actually thought the sister in it, who is played by Tracy Arnold, she was nominated for an Independent Spirit Award, who plays Becky, and I actually thought she was the best actress. Um, Tom Towles, who plays his character's name's Otis in the movie. He was in the 1990 Night of the Living Dead, which I don't think I ever saw. Did you see the
I did,
1990?
but
He plays Harry in that. He's fine in it. But again, I thought that Becky, played by Tracy Arnold, was the best, and she's like the only part in the movie. She's the only. I'm sure you remember. She's the only person like you give two craps about. Um, and then also as the movie goes on, the sort of male gaze kind of goes away, where there's that really sexualized serial killing, and you realize they're just killing everyone and anyone, and it's kind of pointless. And then the whole movie's bleak and pointless because he's protecting this sister, and then you realize at the end he ends up killing her anyway.
yeah.
And the end is just sad and it's pointless. And you're like, wow, life is a sham. You
Yeah.
just end it and you're like, yeah. And when we were writing that serial killer book, it was very hard and we had to step away several times
So if I
and take a
remember
break.
correctly, for this chapter, I specifically interviewed an actress to talk, and it was Lisa, our former
Oh,
mixologist,
yeah.
to
Yeah.
talk about preparing for this kind of role and having to step away from it at the end of the day,
Hmm.
and method acting, which is not recommended for anyone, especially if you're playing a serial killer.
Yeah.
But how so many people get into like this really icky headspace, and just
Yeah.
even us
Yeah.
researching it, we were like, okay, I need to watch a rom-com now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
It was, yeah. So I was trying to find like the why you would watch a movie like this because I do like true crime. I've always been interested in true crime. I love horror movies. And to me, a film like this, yeah, it's raw and unflinching. And I think, like I said, I think there are people who really enjoy this film. I know there are a lot of people who enjoy this film. Um, and you do see the sort of what what that heavy metaphor was at the end of In a Violent Nature, where that sort of animalistic, like, um, this is not a human being, like, you see in his eyes, like, this is a reptile, like, that is interesting, and there was again, there's that mama trope where the whole thing was that he had killed his mother, and there was an interesting nuance where, um, he he was like, "Oh, yeah, I shot my mom," and she's like, I thought you stabbed your mom," and he's like, "Oh, yeah." And then the other guy said he'd killed her with a baseball bat or something, and so clearly there's some disconnect and he's lying, and so there was interesting nuances, and then also the sister is somehow, I mean, obviously has the worst taste in men ever, and so there was this interesting, and, obviously we've seen films about this side of life of people who live on the other side of the tracks, and she didn't realize that they were doing these kinds of things, and we have empathy for her and all those things. So there were aspects to the film that were not even about the serial killing that were interesting. That being said, I would never watch this movie
no.
again.
So we're not going to pop in the DVD when we get home today.
No. But to end on a nice note about it, um oh, wait, no, I have to say this. This is not a nice note. First, there was a sequel.
Ugh.
Michael Rooker is not in it. But this made me laugh. So, like I said, the original was 80, I think I wrote 84, 89. I can't read my writing, but it has very good Rotten
Yeah.
Tomatoes. The sequel randomly has Kate Walsh in it. You know that
Yeah.
actress? It's 20% on
Oh,
Rotten Tomatoes. So that would be funny to watch. But the nice note is I went on IMDb to look up this actress who played Becky, Tracy Arnold. And you know how you go on IMDb and you see like, "Oh, she was only in like 2 more movies after
yeah.
that or something." And I was like, "Oh, that's too bad." And you know how you kind of feel bad for them? Well, I kind of clicked out of that and then I saw her name on Google. And she has spent the past 25 seasons at the American Players Theater in Spring Green, Wisconsin,
Oh,
living her best life, playing the most amazing
good for
roles.
her.
And I, like, read all about what she does there, and it
Okay.
was just it made me so happy thinking
Yeah.
about at the end of the movie, she's, like, in a suitcase. And not really her.
Yeah, yeah.
But I was, like, reading all about all the amazing Shakespearean characters and all
Oh,
the amazing characters
good.
she's playing and how she when she's not at Spring Green, she's doing theater in Chicago and Milwaukee, and I was like, "Oh my gosh," like, sometimes, like, when I go on IMDb and I look up random people
Yeah.
and I think I see the last movie they did was in '98 or something, and I feel bad for them. I'm like, "You know what? They're on theater, like they're
Oh,
in
yeah.
theater, like, living their best life, doing amazing roles."
And I always cannot believe how, like, these actors at the Guthrie, they're amazing. Like, the
Yes.
Guthrie is our Twin Cities theater here in Minnesota, professional theater. You see them in a movie and they have like one line, yet they're
Yeah.
doing Shakespeare
Yeah.
8 times a week
They
or
have these
whatever.
amazing roles and, like, they don't give a crap about, like,
Yeah.
the movies.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I'm like, "Look at her, she's just living her best
I
life."
love that.
And she doesn't have to be in these crappy, movies where she has to, like, kiss Michael Rooker. So, anyway, I thought that was a nice silver lining that she's living her best
Oh,
life.
that's great.
So, anyway, I understand why people would like this movie. It's not necessarily for me. I'm glad I saw it because I think as a horror movie aficionado, it's an important horror film.
Yeah.
But I just watched it going, Kelly would hate this movie. So I'm sorry
I
that
did. No.
I'm sorry you watched it and I'm sorry I forgot.
No, that's okay. Like, we're to the point where we don't remember
No.
everything. We can't.
Apparently it's in our book.
Yeah. So if you want to read about it, pick up a copy of The Science of Serial Killers. So I wanted to go a different direction with the fast forward and talk about some female-led movies.
Great.
Now, again, I know this is not your jam, but you need to see Immaculate
Okay. No, I
with Sydney
yes.
Sweeney.
No, I know.
And I did watch The First Omen. I just finished it the other night.
Okay.
And again, they're nun movies.
I'm curious because I heard they were very similar.
They're so similar. And it's
Okay.
ironic because I saw Immaculate first. And I have to mention, I saw it at the Fargo Film Festival and the producer was there. And so he did a Q&A afterwards and it was fascinating. He said during the pandemic, he is a producer on Euphoria. So he worked with Sydney Sweeney. And she called him and said, like, what are you working on? What's going on? Like,
Yeah.
and he's like, well, I've got this movie idea or what, this. And she's like, let's do it. Like, I'll produce it. So she hustled,
Yeah.
she worked on it, and she's amazing. I
Yeah.
love her, and I
Yeah.
love she hosted SNL and she can make fun of herself, and I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
She's incredible in this role. It has, I'm not going to give you spoilers because I want you to see it. It
Yeah.
has such a great twist. You think it's going to be about one thing, but
Yeah.
it's not. And the ending is one of the most disturbing endings in cinematic history, in my opinion.
Whoa.
You won't believe it. People
Whoa.
were gasping, and it was like a sold
Oh
out
my
theater.
god. Okay, well,
And
I'm sold.
and then the funniest line that everybody got a big kick out of in the theater, and we found out was ad-libbed by Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah.
Something's happening, she's getting chased, and then she just stops because she almost slips on some blood or something, and she
Yeah.
just shouts, "God damn it." And
Good, good
but
one,
she
good,
did
good.
that because she messed up, but they kept it in
Oh,
because
nice.
in screening audiences,
Yeah.
it got the biggest laugh every time. So that was like in this middle of this moment,
Yeah.
she just screams that, and it's hilarious. It's a
Oh, that's
nun. So, yeah,
great.
anyway.
Is it modern day or is it, um, uh,
It's
like an era
it's
movie?
it's modern.
Okay.
And there's great flashbacks and you get
Okay.
backstory, and it's so much more complicated than you think.
Okay.
And I do appreciate they did not give away all of the things that are happening in this movie in the trailer. And so that's
Okay.
why people might be like, well, it's another nun movie, like whatever. It's It's very good.
Okay, I'm excited. I will
I
definitely watch that.
I liked it better probably because I saw it first. I liked it better than The First Omen, but The First
Okay.
Omen was very well done too. The actress in that is from the actress from Servant.
Yes, which I did like Servant,
Yeah, I love
so
Servant. So, um, I think I think you should watch Immaculate.
okay.
I
What about The
don't
First Omen? That's you're kinda more meh about that?
Yeah, it was very good, but
Okay.
there's, like, these really great shocking moments in Immaculate that you're gonna
Okay.
be like, "Gore whore!"
Okay, good, good,
Yeah,
good, good. So, The First Omen, uh,
is the
is it a
prequel,
prequel
yeah,
then and there's, like, a creepy kid in it
yeah. Well,
again?
you know what? I'm not gonna give it away because I want listeners 'cause
Okay,
this is
okay.
like
It's on Hulu,
yeah,
right?
it's streaming
Okay.
and, I don't wanna give anything away.
And Immaculate, we still have to rent right
Yeah, I
now,
think
right?
so,
Okay. Gotcha.
but I recommend it.
Okay.
What do you have for a special feature, Meg?
Oh, my special feature. Well, I figured I would do something nice because after Henry, a portrait of a serial killer, and in a violent nature, I wanted to sort of bring something positive. So I wanted to talk about scaresthatcare.org.
Aw.
It's an all volunteer charity that's donated over $300,000 to families with children affected by illnesses and women with breast cancer. So I encourage everyone to go to scaresthatcare.org, and they have a author con coming October 4th through 6th this year in St. Louis, Missouri, which is put on by Brian Keene and has guests of honor, including two of my favorite authors, Daniel Kraus, who wrote Whale Fall and Shape of Water. And oh my gosh, so many amazing books. I could go on and on for ages. And Clay McLeod Chapman, who I'm a big fan of as well. And they also do these things. They are going to be at Mad Monster Party. So go to madmonster.com and they will have booths there. And I need to tell you about the celebrities that are going to be there. They are going to be so scaresthatcare.org. They are going to have tables at Mad Monster Party in Phoenix, July 12th through the 14th. Oh my gosh. Okay. So and
Are we getting on a plane?
yes. Okay. So y- everyone go to these places and then you donate money to Scares That Care and you're going to do a good thing and then you're going to go and you're going to see when you're in Phoenix, you're going to go see Skeet is going to be there. Okay. Ken Foray is going to be there.
Stop it.
Then while you're hanging out with Skeet and you're getting your picture with him, Matthew Lillard's going to be there.
Come on.
And then while you're there, you're gonna hang out with Alex Vincent with your Chucky doll, right? But then it gets even better because then you're gonna go to Concord, North Carolina, which I've never even heard of. But this is like even better. Okay. When you're at the Mad Monster party there, and remember you're gonna go to madmonster.com to find about this. And they have other ones too, but these were the summer ones. You're gonna be like Tobin Bell. You're gonna be, like, telling him
Wow.
about all your husband's Saw trauma.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna be like Walter Goggins.
Oh.
I love you in Fallout
Yeah.
and whatever other shows you love him in. What's he in that you love?
Justified.
Yes.
Sorry, I said it like that because I love Timothy Olyphant so
I
much and the cowboy
know.
hat.
Then you can be like, "Walter Goggins, what's it
What's it
like
like
working
working
with
with
Timothy?"
Timothy? That's so obnoxious.
And guess who else is there? The Shining twins, Lisa and
Oh,
Louise Burns, and we can show them our Shining twins,
yeah.
tattoos. And then guess who else is there, Kelly?
Who?
James Marsters.
My boyfriend.
So anyway,
Spike.
I really encourage you all to go to scaresthatcare.org and it's just a great organization. And like I said, they have their author con in October and they have tables there, Kelly. So we should we can't because we're going to be doing something the first week of October that we're going to talk about later,
Yeah.
but that will be in St. Louis, Missouri. So that's really exciting. And it's an all volunteer. So anybody who works there, it's they don't get paid, and all the money goes to pre-selected people, so who are, horror fans who have illnesses, and it's just a great charity.
No,
So
that's a great
yeah.
cause. I have to interject. You mentioned James Marsters. I
Yes.
have met him several times,
Yes.
with
Yeah.
paid paid. And for my birthday, was it last year or 2 years?
I don't know.
Two
I
years
think like
ago,
2 years ago.
you got me a cameo with him, and I
Yes.
think he was drunk,
Yeah,
maybe.
I think so because I gave him information about
And
you.
he said something about a Happy Meal.
Yeah, which you don't like McDonald's or Happy Meals or anything, and that was not information that I gave him.
So I mean, it was lovely. So thank you, but
He
James,
might have mixed you up with, like, an 8-year-old or something.
it's fine.
Yeah, that was weird.
So anyway,
He probably gets a lot of cameos
yeah.
and, like, you know, I don't know what
I don't know
happened,
either.
but that was funny.
My special feature I wanted to talk about. Believe in supporting local small businesses. We're here filming at Duluth Creative Co. And what we're having for lunch today is from a local place called Ritual Salad. And I told Meg, I'm like, Meg, there's a witch salad place in town. And she's like, okay.
I'm like, "Why are you saying random words
Yeah.
together?"
And I'm like, I'm serious. They have an apothecary there. It's all witch themed, and you get to create your own bowls. So we went for the first time, and it was like inside of our brains.
Well,
Somebody had,
the owner
oh my
there
gosh,
is just lovely,
she's amazing.
and they had jewelry. I've been wearing my earrings that I got from
I
there
bought
all the
candles, I
time.
bought jewelry, I bought so many things.
The food is
Oh, the
amazing.
food is incredible. And we're gonna have it for lunch today. I'm getting
Yeah.
hungry. And oh, so anyway, if you happen to be in Duluth, check out Ritual Salad. But if not, tell us about places that you eat locally that it's a small business and you want to support. That's amazing and has fun stuff, a fun theme like that.
Yeah, I'm seeing more witchy shops pop up all over the place. Down in Rochester, we don't have a witchy shop actually in Rochester, but in Zimbrota we have a really cute little place. So it's just great to see all these little witchy shops
Yes.
showing up. I love it.
Um, Something that we will be talking about on a future episode, a trailer that I'm so excited. Maxine with Triple X.
Oh
Ty West
my
next in the
god.
trilogy. Okay, so when I saw X in the theater, and I've told you this, there were 2 children under the age of 10 sitting directly in front of me,
No, that's trauma.
and it's about making a porn. I mean, it's more
Yeah.
than that, but, I was like, "Oh my god, why did these parents bring these
No,
kids?" So
that's
I couldn't enjoy the movie,
no,
obviously,
no.
because I was worried about these children.
Yeah.
I was able to rewatch it in the
Okay.
privacy of my own home,
Okay.
and I appreciated it.
Okay.
Pearl changed my life.
Yeah, we loved Pearl.
I love it so much.
Yeah. Now talk about a monologue that
Oh,
is amazing.
yeah.
Now that's a 20-minute
That pays
monologue
off,
that
yeah.
yeah. I love that.
So I'm so excited for this movie,
Oh my gosh.
and I trust them.
Yeah. Oh, I cannot wait for Maxine. I I'm so ready.
And I love these plays on different eras and same actress. I love it.
I know. It's one of those like the whole 3 movie thing, like and everything. I just wish I had thought of it.
I know. I know.
Yeah, we're ready.
So we will be talking about that in
Yeah.
the future.
Yes.
And yeah.
All right.
We'll see you next time.
See you soon.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Horror Rewind.
To stay up to date on all our ghoulish happenings, you can visit our website down in the show notes.
Make sure to check to see if we are lurking through your town on our upcoming book tour or events.
You can also stalk us on YouTube and Patreon and all of your favorite social media platforms.
Thanks for listening to Horror Rewind. We'll see you in the horror section.